Hello everyone, Professor T here. In this tutorial, I'm going to help you understand the basics of data analysis with the statistical software package SPSS. Basically, I'm going to show you how to open up a data file on SPSS, how to recognize different types of files, your data file that you put in the data, your output file that you see the results from your statistical analysis, how to set up variables, and how to save your data. That's basically what we're going to do in this tutorial. So stay tuned. I will start off from the very beginning by trying to access the Verizon client, the Horizon client, I should say, that allows us access to SBCC's computers remotely. So the way I do that is to go on my Mac search magnifier glass and type in VMware, and it should pull it up, and simply click enter, and it should take you there. Obviously, you can go through the route of opening your applications folder, and it should list the VMware Horizon client there as well. So once you access it, it'll take a little bit to load the client. You can use the student desktop or go directly to IBM SPSS, which is what I'll do here, and wait a little longer for it to ask me to log in to SPCC and then access the software that is installed on the school's computer. So this is the home screen that you will see once SPSS is open. You could choose to open some things here, for example, sample files, which we'll do later, but for now, and usually I just click close so that I can go directly to one type of SPSS file, which is the data set. So SPSS has two commonly used data file types. One is data set, where you put in your data, and the other one is an output file where it gives you the results of your data analysis. There's other types of files, syntax, but we're not going to worry about those for now. So my data file is untitled, and it has two views. If we go to the bottom left corner right here, you'll see that you have data view and variable view, right? Right now we're in variable view, where you can specify your variables, but if I click on data view right here, it'll toggle between those two, and you'll see here the columns with VAR for variables, so each column is a variable, and the numbers for the rows, which correspond to cases or observations, or in your case, survey responses. So I am going to show you how to set up variables. So you go back to the bottom left corner, click variable view, and now you can start setting up your variables. Let's say that we want to set up two variables. For example, the type of pet that people own. So I can type in pet right here, and I also want to set up a variable that corresponds to the gender of the pet owner. As you'll recall from lecture or lab, there are two columns or two attributes of variables that I want to call your attention to. One is the type, and the other one is the measure. The type can be of a few different types on SPSS: numeric, comma, dot, scientific, dollar, currency, string, etc. Usually we will use numeric or string type. So I'm going to set it as string just as a demonstration here. String corresponds to text or characters, alphanumeric characters. So that's what string is, and numeric is just numbers. So pet is set to numeric, to string, sorry, whereas gender, I'm going to leave it as numeric, so just numbers. For the measure, you'll see that SPSS automatically made my string variable a nominal type of variable. As you'll recall from lecture or lab, we have two broad categories of measurement scales, which are qualitative and quantitative. Under the qualitative ones, we have nominal and ordinal. These are just categories. For the nominal level, they are basic categories with no order to them, whereas for the ordinal level, we have some order to them, right? And then for the other broad category of quantitative or numbers, we have interval and ratio. SPSS breaks it down into only 3, which I'll show here, nominal, ordinal, and then it lumps interval and ratio into what it calls scale, illustrated here by this ruler. So we're going to leave gender as nominal as well, because male, female, non-binary, they're just categories, they're just buckets, there's no inherent order. Male is not more or less than female or binary, and same thing for pets, dogs, cats, fish, or there's no order to them, right? So these are variables, and if I go back to data view on the bottom left corner here, you'll see that they're now set up under the columns, right? I have a column for my pet variable and a column for my gender variable. You'll notice that the pet one has an A because it is a string or a text character variable. I can try and type in words here. Let's say cat. Great, that works. If I try to do that for gender, however, let's say I want to type in female and click enter, error message, right? SPSS is not going to let me do that. Why? Because we specified it, going back here to variable view, as a numeric variable. So female is not numeric, it is a word. So that was just to illustrate the difference between string and numeric type. Now, I recommend that you make your variables numeric in general, because this gives you the greatest flexibility in terms of inputting data. I usually lower down the the number of decimals to 0. And one other thing that you want to pay attention to typically is the values attribute. So for our pet variable, I am going to specify values. Why, you may ask? Because I don't want to keep typing in cat, dog, fish, etc. each time as words. I just want to code them into numbers to make data entry and data analysis quicker and easier. So I'm going to specify which values I want to attribute to my pet variable under values here. I'm just going to click 1 for the label cat, and then I can just press tab to go to add and enter. So 1 is cat, 2 is going to be dog, add, don't forget to click add each time. I'm just going to leave it at that, cat and dog, for my values of pets. Great, so now I have that. For gender, I can simply, again, on the bottom right corner of that little cell, specify my genders. So I'm going to have 1 for female, add, 2 for male, add, and 3 for, I'm just going to say other. You could say non-binary, gender fluid, have as many categories as you'd like. I'm just going to stick to female, male, and other, and click OK. So now I've specified my value labels, or values, not to be confused with label, which is just another word for your variable. I can just type it in here just so you can see the difference. Type of pet. It's more of a descriptive of your variable name. So we got the name of our variables, the type, some labels, the values for each of the categories corresponding to type of pets and gender, and the measure which corresponds to the measurement scale. So if we go back to data view now, I can put in some values. So let's say that your first survey respondent said that they are a cat person, which would be a 1, right? 1 corresponds to cat, and that they are female. Also a 1 corresponds to female. The next survey respondent, number 2, row number 2 there, let's say they're a dog person. So now I'm going to put a 2, and they responded other for gender. So that's number 3. So, and so on and so forth. You can go down each row for each one of your participants in your survey. One neat feature here is that Since we have codes, numbers that correspond to each of the categories within our variables, sometimes let's say you forgot, what is number 3 for gender again? Is it male, female, other? You can simply go here in this menu where it says value labels, just click there and you'll see that it toggles, right? Now we see the words that we specified instead of the numbers. So this is a neat thing that you can do to toggle between your values and the numbers that correspond to them. So that's that, everyone. We've set up our variables, we've put in some data, we specified specific attributes, and now we should be ready to run our data analysis. But to make it easier, I'm going to open up a file that already has data, kind of like you're going to do for your survey. It's going to come with all of the responses, right, and all of the survey questions that you have. So that's what I'm going to do and not use this file. If you wanted to save your data file, however, just to show you how to do that, you can click this symbol right here, the diskette, save this document, or you could go to File, Save As, and it should bring up a dialog screen where you will type in, I don't know, survey example, something like that. And you should save it under Look in your Google Drive. So, oops, just go right here to Google Drive G. You'll see that I have my drive. You should click there for your drive. I have a shortcut for Site 200. I could just click there and click Save, and now I will have my data file saved. Okay, so that's something that you can do.